Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews, and today we are going to take a look at something that's, again, as always, a little different from your normal dinosaur figure review, and I absolutely love anytime I get a chance to take a look at some of the figures from this company. These are by Zuru Toys, and as you can see, if we bring this up, they are the Surprise Dinos, the 5 Surprise Dino Strike Glow in the Dark variants of these dinosaurs, and I'm really psyched to take a look at these because the last time we had reviewed some, they were absolutely awesome. I really like these figures, again sporting a very kind of Dino Riders feel overall as far as the figures go, with dinosaurs including, weapons and everything fighting. It's absolutely awesome if you ask me. So I'm super excited to find out which species are included in these 4 right here, and I'm hoping that they're not ones that I already have. But we're going to open one up right now. We'll get all of these guys out of the way. So half the fun of these Dino Strike figures is the fact that you have to kind of open them up piece by piece, and you're kind of surprised and in anticipation of which figures are included in the one that you purchased. I did break this off like an idiot, but we're going to go ahead and, once I figure out the area to pull this open, we're going to first of all pull out the weapons. We've got 2 guns right there that we know will be included, of course, on our dinosaur or some sort of prehistoric animal. And then the next piece potentially could give us a clue as to what species we are dealing with right here. And man, this always happens to me. Oh, actually, we do have a piece of the body. I say it always happens to me where I end up finding out last what it is exactly, the species is. This, I'm not too sure. So let's keep going here. We'll find out as we go what species we're opening up right here. And we open the next piece. All right, we've got some legs. So we're headed in the right direction. As we continue to move on here, we've got the next one. We'll open this one up as well, if I can get a hold of it. And now we have the armor, so it looks as though the final piece would be the head, and that will be the key to which species we're dealing with here, even though I've already got a pretty good idea of which it is. So take all these away. And I think at this point we can probably tell already that it is the Stygimoloch, so we're going to have to get this guy all put together. We also have a really cool checklist which tells us what some of the other species are in the line. You have the Stygimoloch, actually the one that we just opened. There is a Velociraptor, which we have reviewed previously, a Therizinosaurus, which we also have reviewed previously, Pterodactyl, which is a Pteranodon, which we also have reviewed previously, and then there is also an alternate Velociraptor, it seems, and then there is a very rare Spinosaurus skeleton. And then if we flip it around to the opposing side, now we'll get an idea of who else is included. An Ankylosaurus, which we also have reviewed, Plesiosaurus, which we have actually reviewed, but not this variant, and then there is a Tyrannosaurus Rex. Also right there, we've got a Tyrannosaurus skeleton, a Triceratops, as well as a Triceratops skeleton, and then the final one is a Stegosaurus. Again, some of these we have reviewed previously, although not all of them were the glow-in-the-dark variants that we have here. But I'm going to get this figure here put together really quickly, and then we'll be right back. So our Stygimoloch is put together and looking absolutely incredible. Again, if you're a fan of scientifically accurate dinosaurs, you're probably going to want to look elsewhere, but if you're a fan of just dinosaur fun, these are definitely a great way to go. We have yet another here, of course 4, that we're going to take a look at all together right now. So we take out these pieces, again some more armor, hoping that we don't get something that we already have, because that is one of the things that you have to look out for. Sometimes you'll probably get doubles of these figures since you can't see exactly who is inside. And again, we have now weapons right here. So if we bring over the next of these, we open this up, we'll find out potentially who's inside. Oh, we've got a skeleton this time. This is the first time I've ever actually gotten a skeleton from any of these. Even in the previous waves to this wave, I have not had any of the Dino Strike skeletons, so I'm pretty excited about this one. Really wonder who the skeleton is, and some pieces fell out right there. And then we're going to hurry up and open the final one right here, get the pieces out, and then figure out what exactly we have waiting for us inside. So I'm thinking that this is the Tyrannosaurus Rex skeleton. So that is awesome. If I'm going to be introduced to the skeletons of the Dino Strike range, why not start with a T-Rex? So let's get this one put together now. So our T-Rex skeleton is now put together and looking insanely awesome. We'll place that over here to the side, and then we will bring in the next one, which we have quite a few pieces to get through here. So let's open them up and then start trying to figure out who we have inside. Okay, unfortunately, I'm not too familiar with the color schemes of each, but that one definitely looks very interesting, and the fact that there's nothing up here on the top makes me very suspicious of who this one might be. But we open the next one, and potentially we are not still informed for sure as far as who this is. But again, I've got a pretty good idea of who exactly it is that we're dealing with. And we'll open the next one up, and we've got more pieces, and then a little more. And at this point, I think we are obviously sure who is included once we get this little piece right here. We now know who our species is. It is obviously the Stegosaurus. And then the final pieces, we've got a couple of body parts. So our massacred Stegosaurus needs to be put together, so let's do that right now. And now we have our Stegosaurus built, and I must say I really love the new color scheme of the Stegosaurus in comparison to the previous one. So now the next one that we've got here, as we break this open and take a look at who's inside, well, instantly we have pieces flying everywhere, and they appear to be bones. So we now know that we have another skeleton, which is really cool because that Rex skeleton back there is awesome. And then as we continue on here, we get some more pieces out as they want to come out. It appears as though we have potentially, yes, a Triceratops skeleton this time around. So how convenient is that to have the, whoops, I broke it off, the battle of the dinosaurs, or the potentially two most popular battling dinosaurs, which would be a Rex and a Triceratops. And we can now have those two together here. So even more pieces. And then the final pieces. So there is our Triceratops skeleton now, all armored up, which, if the fact that dinosaurs weren't carrying guns before and battling wasn't ridiculously awesome enough for you, we now have skeleton dinosaurs carrying guns and battling as well. And honestly, as far as like a modern day Dino Riders goes, you're probably not going to find anything closer than this, and I think that is one of probably the most appealing aspects of these figures, is just how awesome they are overall, and how similar they are to Dino Riders. So, let's go ahead and get that closer look right now. So starting with the first one that we opened up, which was the Stygimoloch, we can see how cool the figure looks overall. The armored areas of the dinosaur look awesome. They're really highly detailed, just like everything else is. And I love how this is kind of like translucent as far as these missiles go that are included with our Stygimoloch. Really cool looking, nice shade of like a greenish coloration. But once we actually take these all off and we could take a look at the sculpt of our Stygimoloch, you can see that it is beautiful looking as far as the fine detail goes. You could see a very nice, very highly detailed head sculpt to the Stygimoloch. You could see a nice coloration there for the beak, a nice grayish coloration, even some decent looking detail included within the beak. You've got all of the kind of trademark spikes and stuff sticking off the back of the Stygimoloch's head, as well as the really nice dome skull up here. Also sporting some nice detail, even including like some osteoderms and stuff up there. You have a nicely painted eye with a black coloration. Beautiful nostrils sculpted out in the front of the snout there. And the opposing side as well looks really quite nice. As we start to lead back into the body, you can continue to see that it has a really gorgeous sculpt as far as the detailing aspect goes. Lots of really nice skin texture is found throughout the sculpt of the Stygimoloch. You can see, however, that there's like a weird hole here on the side. We have one over here too. I'm not too sure what those are exactly, but they do have two random little holes on the sides of the Stygimoloch. But you can see that in general it's a very nice orangish coloration for the overall body color, as well as some kind of like magenta like stripes that run down the back. And there's not too much else as far as coloration goes for the Stygimoloch. You have a nice curve in the tail out here. Beautiful looking curve. Again, the skin texture looks really good. Unfortunately, there is no nail paint on these figures, but they're not like super crazy expensive models or anything. They're just really cool toys. So you don't expect things like nail paint, and I think the feet look really cool, really nice, and beautifully sculpted overall. I actually kind of want to buy some of these again just to repaint. I feel like with some really nice realistic paint application on these things could look incredibly nice. And again, you can see how nice it looks over here You have a really nice creamy color here on the underside that is only on the underside of the body. You don't see it in the neck or the tail or anything, but again, for what these figures are, that's a really nicely sculpted Stygimoloch figure. Definitely a very cool one. And then as we move along, we'll actually go to the skeletons this time. We have the Triceratops skeleton. Once we get the armor off, the armor actually looks really cool. You can see he's got like this kind of face mask going on that loops over the horns of the Triceratops, which looks really cool. And another exciting aspect, actually, now that I bring it up, as far as the armor goes, you can see the armor looks really, really cool, beautifully sculpted and everything, has a very nice goldish color, but you can also see that the actual missile almost looks like bone, since it's on the back of a skeleton. It also looks like a bone, which is really cool, neat little aspect as far as that goes on the part of Zuru Toys. But taking a look at the actual Triceratops here, you can see that as far as the skeleton goes, it's really cool looking overall. Very nice pose as it's walking along, almost looking like it came straight from a museum display and straight into the battlefield, which is very interesting. The bones are actually pretty nicely done. You can even see, like, looking up here at the frill, you can see some cracks and crevices and everything included within the frill for the Triceratops, and all of the bones appear to be sculpted pretty nicely for being a really small kind of a skeleton. It's pretty nicely done, and there's a lot of articulation in these figures usually. You can see some nice head articulation. You have the jaw articulation, so articulated jaw, and you can move the legs as well if you would like. They may pop out, but you could just pop them back in because you kind of have to put them together in the first place. But I feel like the Triceratops is really cool looking, and definitely another nice addition to this line, and now having a skeleton in the line as far as what I own in my collection is really, really cool. We also, of course, have the Stegosaurus, which sports a very cool look overall as far as the weapons and everything included on it. We have actually reviewed the sculpt of the Stegosaurus prior to this, because this was the same figure that was included in the very first line that we had reviewed from the Zuru Dino Strike Toys, but this one has a new paint scheme, so we don't really need to look at the sculpt of this guy, but the paint scheme definitely looks very cool with a nice dark grayish coloration, some very cool yellow stripes that run down the side, and some black included up there on the plates. I feel like the sculpt looks way nicer with this paint scheme on it compared to the previous paint scheme that was on the Stegosaurus, and you can also see a really cool looking yellow eye, and the yellow eye really jumps out at you now with the dark grayish coloration. Actually, there's even a pupil in there, if you can see it. Oh boy, if my camera would focus on it, you can kind of see a pupil there. It's just like a stripe that comes down with the dark gray, which looks really cool as well. But again, same deal over here as far as the paint scheme goes. You have a lighter coloration here on the underbelly as well. Really awesome Stegosaurus for sure. I absolutely love this. Definitely one of my favorites, I think, so far as like the sculpt and paint application. Love the look of this one. And the final is the Tyrannosaurus Rex skeleton, which I have yet to actually get one of these in the regular Tyrannosaurus Rex with, like, you know, skin and all that fun stuff. Haven't gotten one yet. I have to get a hold of one. But the Rex skeleton has, again, the really cool armor to it, the helmet and all that fun stuff. And you can also see, again, the missile is a bone, or kind of looks like it would be bone, which is really, really awesome. But once we take this fun armor and everything off of our Rex, you can see that the actual Rex skeleton itself is actually really nice looking. I definitely really like the overall appearance to it. Just like with the Triceratops, we have articulation in the jaw. We can move the heads on kind of like a swivel, and then the legs and everything move as well. So you can articulate the dinosaur figure a little bit right there. Some of these figures actually sport an action feature like the regular dinosaurs do. We'll show you them here in a minute, but the skeletons don't seem to have an actual action feature. But again, sculpt-wise, it's just like a Rex walking along. Looks like, again, it was just stolen straight from a museum and then thrown onto the battlefield to help defend I don't know who, because I don't know who is actually behind these, but the sculpt of the Tyrannosaurus looks really, really cool, and for a very neat-looking Tyrannosaurus skeleton, I think it's really nicely detailed overall, and quite beautifully done yet again on the part of Zuru Toys. Another really cool figure, and I'm really happy to have some of the skeletons now entering my collection. But trust me, if you are sleeping on these Zuru Toys Dino Strike figures, you need to go buy some right now, because these things are absolutely awesome. Each of the figures balances really nicely too, like they stand really beautifully. But you can see as far as the Stegosaurus goes, you move the head, which causes the tail to strike. Very, very cool as far as that goes. And then with the Stygimoloch, we also move the tail, which causes the head to strike. So pretty much the opposite right there, although you could move the head to make the tail strike if you really want to. So I guess it works either way. And then, of course, the skeletons themselves do not have any type of an actual action feature, but for a size on our Zuru Toys Dino Strike figures, we're not really going to measure each one. We'll just bring the tape measure in here so you can kind of get a rough idea of how large they are. Like for the Stygimoloch, you're looking at about 4¼ inches or around 11½ centimeters. So they do sport some pretty decent size overall for a size comparison. There is Mr. Papo T-Rex, the Attack Pack Colovosaurus, and Robert Muldoon from the Mattel Jurassic World toy line next to our really cool Zuru Toys Dino Strike figures, and you can definitely see that as far as an overall size goes, being kind of trapped in like a little ball when you get them, they're not super huge figures. They're very nicely sized, but on the smaller size for sure, and hopefully these figures will show you that in comparison, again, proving that these figures, even at the smaller size, sport a very impressive sculpt overall. And then, of course, we have the aspect of the figures being able to shoot each other, so you can see they work really, really well. If we can move this again, boom, we shot that guy, and then we'll use the other one over here to shoot a bone. So it all works really well and is yet another of the incredible additions to these figures. And if all of that wasn't cool enough, they glow in the dark, so you can't see it too well on my camera, but hopefully you are able to pick it up at least a little bit, because they definitely look super awesome here in person. Really, really cool. Even the actual missiles glow in the dark really nicely. So these Zuru Toys Dino Strike Surprise eggs, I guess you could call them, but they're Dino Strike Surprise Dinosaurs. They're really awesome. I absolutely love these. This is the third review now that I've done of this style figure, these kind of surprise egg dinosaur figures, and I've loved every single one that I've picked up and that I've opened every single time. They're absolutely awesome. Really impressive as far as the sculpts go. Again, they provide a very nice, very highly detailed sculpt on each one of the figures. You're really getting a lot of value, I think, for the price. I think they're like $5.99 or something like that, roughly, at Walmart and Target. So it's a pretty cheap price for a really cool figure that includes like weapons and everything else. And on top of all of that, these ones specifically glow in the dark, so it doesn't get too much cooler than that, I would say, as far as an off-the-wall dinosaur figure with weapons goes. But again, the regular living style dinosaur figures sport a really nice, very highly detailed sculpt, some pretty nice application of the paint, beautiful paint schemes actually on both of the ones that we have here with both the Stegosaurus and Stygimoloch. You also have the really cool skeletons that we have here, which is the Tyrannosaurus and the Triceratops, both of which also look really awesome as far as the sculpts go. There's not much paint wise because they're skeletons, but I mean, it's just a nice whitish coloration, or like an off-white, of course, insinuating the color of bone. And then you have the really cool additions of the armor and the weapons and the fact that you can shoot each one of the dinosaurs and everything. It's just like the total package of awesomeness are these Zuru Toys Dino Strike figures. I absolutely love these things. So again, if you are interested in picking these up, make sure you head to your local Walmart or your local Target. Check these out in store. They are awesome. I highly recommend picking up any of them. And again, half the fun is being surprised as to which one you get included when you purchase one or many or whatever you want to do. You never know exactly what species you're going to get, so it's always a surprise, hence the Dino Strike Surprise dinosaur figures. So really awesome on the part of Zuru Toys. So make sure you head to your local Walmart or Target, pick some of these awesome figures up, and make sure you also like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.